4033 Sir James Drive. And I formerly lived in South Fayette Township where they had no oil and gas drilling. And then moved here because we have a disabled son and we wanted everything on one floor. And I thought last week when we had this meeting, this gentleman said, why was there, for the school district, the ordinance was 2,000 feet and 500 feet for residential homes? And nobody could, answer that question. I thought that was a really good question that you brought up, and I'd like you to consider that. I mean, I prefer it to be 3,000 feet away, but if you could consider that, because the kids are home more than they are at school, and then they have summer off, so, 2,000 feet. And then the other thing that I didn't like, whether it was Scarmazy or Miranda Homes or Dan Ryan, nobody told us that the Augustinian well was going to be there until after the fact. And I guess legally they didn't have to tell you, but I don't think that's right. I was in sales for 29 years, and that's not being truthful. So at least let them know, by the way, if you're going to buy here, there is a well going to be within 1,000 feet of your home. And so you have an option to say, I either want to be near there or I don't. But there was in Fort Cherry, I don't know the whole situation, but in the school district there, they had to close the school for a while because of the fumes, and then they put air conditioning in there. I don't know what oil and gas company did that, but anyway, it's hard to stop what's already here. But if you could look at the ordinance and say, hey, if 2,000 is reasonable for schools, why not for residential property, if not more? Thank you.
Sure, why not? Yeah, Tim Walker, 1860 Rising Road. My fear is here that I guess maybe what we need to do, if we're not satisfied or concerned about the overlay map, is what we do is put a moratorium on all development within the township until we resolve this. No more housing plans, no more businesses. I mean, how else the overlay map is going to be outdated with any reasonable amount of time.
There's no requirement to have an overlay map as part of your oil and gas ordinance.
No, I understand that, but what we're saying is we need to change that because houses have been built since the map was initially made, correct?
I'm not trying to be argumentative, but conversely, why wouldn't you stop oil and gas development until the map is? I think that's defeats.
Well,
Why
you can't have one without the other. I'm saying if you allow development,
have development without the oil and gas overlay map being updated. You can't. What you shouldn't have is oil and gas development without the overlay map being updated.
So we have the map. So what you're saying is we should be able to put a gas well wherever the overlay map says.
No, that's not how it works.
Kind of like the chicken or the egg here.
The overlay map sets a standard and kind of a map for it, but ultimately the wording in the ordinance sets the standard. So if the overlay map doesn't show, we'll say Cindy Fisher's house, but my house is 300 feet from where Range wants to put a well pad, even though my house isn't on the overlay map, they can't put it there. Conversely, if my house is 600 feet from the well pad, the wording in the ordinance is 500 feet from residential structure, so they could. So I actually, as a personal preference, don't think overlay maps in a developing township make sense because unless you're going to commit to update them every couple months or every time a development takes place, they're going to be constantly out of date. So, and you can ask any of the other board members, I've said that before, my preference would be that we write an ordinance that doesn't require an overlay map for that reason.
Okay.
And our overlay map isn't a true traditional overlay map. Like there are other municipalities that have overlay maps that call out specific areas for drilling. So it's not in the wording, it's in the here's our map and here's where you can drill. Cecil Township's overlay map isn't like that. Cecil Township's overlay map just literally bubbles out all the residential communities. Yeah, on there, and that's where I said that would, it doesn't make our ordinance invalid, but it does cause us problems in that part of it isn't accurate, isn't updated.
Well, yeah, and all you have to do is build one house and
Right.
the map is obsolete at that point.
Right, and I don't wanna turn this into a battle
Yeah.
of stop development or do oil and gas. I've said it before, I do really believe that there is a middle ground that we can meet where we
I
can
agree.
continue to develop Cecil Township, but we can also find places for oil and gas development. And I truly believe that, and I've been working towards that. I've been working with our township engineer and various board members to come up with that middle ground. And I hate to say it, but if everybody in the room is frustrated with me, then I did my job, because you that may want it 500 feet, and I'm not saying you do, but just say, for example, you want it 500 feet, but certain people want it 3,000 feet. If I hit that middle where you're not happy, but they're not happy, then I did my job, and I protected everybody, and I found that right here.
I mean, I would hope we wouldn't base our decision on there were 22 people at one meeting and only
Yeah.
10. I mean, this is a township much bigger than, 32 people.
I don't think that that's what the point was.
Well,
I
I'm
think-
just saying,
Point, and I
that
can't-
was the example that was given.
Right, but I don't think that, and I can't speak for her because I'm not her, but I think the message that I got was there was an overwhelming majority of people that asked us not for a ban of oil and gas development, but for a protection of their homes and a protection of their investments. To the point that is often made as a leaseholder is you have a right to that money, and I don't disagree with that.
Yeah, I'm asking for the same protections, basically.
But I also, on the opposite end of that, believe that a homeowner has a right to protect their investment. So if you have a well pad, a certain number of feet from your home, there is gonna be a decrease in the value of your home because of that well pad. So that's where we have to find that balance.
Yeah, I agree.
And honestly, I haven't slept well, if you can't tell what bags I'm at, for the past 2 months, not because I just could care less about this. I really want to do the research, to put the time in, to get the information, to make the right decision for everyone
Yes.
in all 27 square miles, not just, Cindy Fisher, Ron Fleer, Frank Gizio. We really want that. And I think we'll get that.
I mean, when I hear comments about the gate was open and there were guys up there working and they should have locked it when they went in, and they should open it and lock it back when they go out if there's guys running in and out. I mean, you go to these developments, there's construction material laying around, and I'm sure that you don't require a developer to tell you when he's gonna have employees on site, and what they're doing up there every minute of the day.
Right.
I mean, come on. I mean, how much are you paying your guys? What are their hours? Do you want to sign in sign-out sheet? I mean, maybe you should get a job at the guard shack. I mean, I'm just saying, I think that's a little bit unreasonable.
Well, let's not get into attack. We hear what you're saying, we appreciate it. If you have something else, I don't want to get into
No.
attacking other residents.
Well, like I said, I just heard all that was said earlier, and I just felt that I should, comment on some of that, because I think what we're asking for, I mean, they're complying with the ordinances. As far as the schedule goes, I saw the schedule online. It seems to be a reasonable timeline. If they're going to take a forklift on site today or a man lift on site the next day, how much detail do we expect them to provide?
Well, and I'll be honest, I've had this conversation with a representative from Range personally. I think the concern is there's a gentleman up there who homeschools his kids. There are residents out there that work from home. It's distracting when you have certain things, so they can schedule around it. I don't expect, and I said this before, I don't expect Range to put out a plan through the end of May. I don't think it's unreasonable to ask them to go more than 1 week out, because if on Monday morning or Friday, actually I think it came Friday, on Friday it's coming for Monday, that's not a ton of time.
Well, I mean, if you live in a plant that's being developed, currently under development, and you have concrete trucks coming in today, and you have carpenters hammering tomorrow, and you have a boom lift truck there the next day, you don't expect that contractor to provide a schedule to all the residents for every move that he makes during that project, do you? That's acceptable because they're building another house. But I'm saying it's the same thing.
It's not though, it's a different scale.
What? It's a construction project.
It's just a different scale.
I mean, they're not drilling. I'm just puzzled by that, how we expect a day-by-day, hour-by-hour blow from Range but yet you go to the, because I rode around up at that plant here the other day, and there's construction work going on daily up there, and I'm sure with all the residents that live in that neighborhood, with cement trucks going up and down the road, and lumber being delivered, and their kids are outside, I'm sure they don't expect the same from the developer, do they? Or does the township require the same from the developer?
We do require plans from the developer. We don't provide those plans to the residents, but I will tell you, as somebody who lived in a neighborhood in Cecil Township while it was being developed, I was one of the first houses in that housing plan, and have been near range while it's a different scale. Somebody working inside or putting up walls in a house isn't the same as 30-foot sound walls or things like that. So I don't want to get into an argument with you.
Yeah,
I
I'll
really don't.
respectfully disagree with that, but like I said, personally, it's a construction site.
That's fine, you have the right to do that. If you, but in the sake of moving on, if you have another point, we're happy.
No, that's all
But
right.
I don't want this, I don't want this.
No, I understand.
Yeah, I don't want this to turn into an argument. Okay.
All right, thank you, appreciate it.
If we're not going to get into attacking residents,
I'm not gonna attack anybody.
if you have a comment that you want to address to the
My
board.
comment is just this to the board, if it was just another construction site, then it needs to go through the land development and subdivision plan, like all the other subdivisions go through. If it was just another construction site, then why do you give them a specific list of conditions and then don't follow through when they don't hold them accountable when they don't do it? So, if you're gonna give them a specific road to lock a gate, then they need to lock a gate. That's all I'm saying.
Thanks. Any other comments or questions?